to allow life to be abundant and diverse on planet Earth.
So should we be hotter then today? Or not as hot?
Because of this faint sun paradox, the sun's a little brighter today than it was yesterday.
Okay.
But hey, you really have to wait 100 million years before you really notice a significant difference. Actually, in 10 million years, you would notice a significant difference.
I think I missed a little something there. Why is it called a paradox again? Because you talked about the 15% and then now that it's getting brighter.
Well, it's called a paradox because life is very sensitive to the ambient temperature.
Okay.
And if that ambient temperature has been disturbed, then the paradox is, why do we see life on planet Earth continuously over the past 3.8 billion years?
I see. Okay.
Given the faint sun paradox, the Earth should be habitable for only a few millions of years. For advanced life, maybe 30 million years for less advanced life. But the truth is, it's been inhabited for the past 3.8 billion years. So the question is, what gives?
Yeah.
From a naturalistic perspective, there's no answer to the faint sun paradox, because you need to know the future physics of the sun in order to remove life forms that are no longer appropriate and replace them with life forms that are. Now, evolution, naturalistic evolution, being a mindless, undirected process, would very quickly get out of sync with the changes in the physics of the sun. And for that matter, it's not just the physics of the sun. The physics of the Earth changes over the past 3.8 billion years. For example, our planet is rotating about 5 to 6 times more slowly today than it was 3.8 billion years ago. The radiation environment is different. The coverage of continental land masses on the surface of the Earth is different. So there's significant changes taking place both in the physics of the Earth and the physics of the sun, and for that matter, the physics of the moon has changed. And so it's critical that you have very precisely fine-tuned life forms on the planet at the right time and in the right place. Now, an intelligent supernatural creator will know which life forms to remove from the Earth and which life forms to put on the Earth. And the latter part of Chapter 10, I talk about mass speciation events and mass extinction events. The fact that we see these mass extinction events is evidence that the Creator is doing house cleaning. The planet is now threatening to be out of balance with respect to the faint sun paradox. So to rectify that potential imbalance, he wholesale removes life forms that are no longer appropriate, and then immediately replaces those life forms with life forms that are appropriate. And that's something we see in the fossil record. There are mass extinction events, and interestingly, they're spaced about the right time period apart to compensate for the changes in the physics of the sun. You basically need a mass extinction event about every 20 to 30 million years. And that's what the fossil record shows, that we do get these events spaced about that far apart. But the really challenging thing for naturalistic evolution or theistic evolution is, following every mass extinction event, we see a mass speciation event, where in a very brief period of time, we see this huge introduction of hundreds of thousands, even millions of new species upon the face of the Earth, replacing the life that went before. And it happens so quickly that there's no possibility that that could possibly be attributed to a naturalistic explanation.
Okay, that would be problematic for both those models. Why would it be the difficulty for the theistic evolutionary model?
Well, we're talking, in some cases, a measurement of less than 10,000 years from a wholesale removal of life to a wholesale replacement of radically different life forms. And particularly in the dinosaur eras and the radiations of birds and mammals we see thereafter, we're seeing that the speciation events involve large-bodied animals that replace large-bodied creatures that have been removed. As one of the parts of this chapter is we look at what drives speciation. The smaller the body size, the greater the probability that you're going to get a naturalistic evolutionary event. But once the body size exceeds 3 kilograms, that probability drops to 0. And what we see with the 3 dinosaur events is that you're getting the removal of very large body creatures and their replacement with radically different large body creatures in a time window that's less than 10,000 years. And again, from a naturalistic perspective, that's utterly impossible. But it happened. And it happened more than once. It happened several times.
So you're saying that the speciation events in Earth's history provide evidence for reasons to believe testable creation model, but present definite problems for the other, I think you mentioned 3 models.
Right.
The naturalistic, theistic, and young Earth model.
Well, we do that with transitional forms. We're not denying that transitional forms never happen. They do happen. But the transitions are of the wrong type and the wrong time for the naturalistic or the theistic evolutionary models. I mean, basically, you're seeing the greatest number of transitions for the creatures that have calculably zero probability of evolutionary change. Yet that's where we see them. And we don't see them where the naturalistic model would predict that they should exist in greater abundance. So it's the exact opposite of what the naturalistic model predicts. And this is kind of a clue to Christians. Rather than going out there and saying transitional forms is a total myth, well, it's a total myth the way naturalists try to define transitions as being capable of explaining the whole record of nature. But we do see things that look transitory in the fossil record. The problem is the nature of those transitory speciation events are the exact opposite of what the naturalistic evolutionary model would predict and are exactly what the creation model would predict. You know, from a creation perspective, whales, for example, have such huge body sizes, such low populations, and are composed of such complex biochemistry that they have a zero probability of evolutionary advance. Moreover, they have a very high probability of a fairly rapid extinction. Given the nature of those species, it's highly unlikely that they're going to make it past more than a few million years. Likewise with horses, they go extinct rapidly. In some cases, much less than a million years. Now, what I see in the Bible is that God likes whales and he likes horses. And given that they fall prey to extinction so easily and so rapidly, he's busy constantly replacing whale species with new whale species. Likewise, the same thing with the horses. Likewise with the large primates. It explains why we see so many primate speciation events. And it also explains why we don't see many such speciation events for cockroaches. They have a very long extinction time, so there isn't the need for the Creator to intervene.
Too bad. If you could just step on a few more, I'd be happy.
But from a naturalistic perspective, they would be predicting that you would get many for the insects and the bacteria, and you wouldn't get any for the birds and the mammals, but it's the opposite of what we see in the fossil record.
All right, Hugh, I think we'll leave it at that so we don't give away the store on this one, but a lot is covered in Chapter 10. It looks like you really do go through the history of life on the planet.
Yeah, we do. We get into the testing of speciation and extinction models of the different perspectives. It's probably one of the most fun chapters.
In this chapter, I think you're going to be talking about plants now?
About advanced life.
Advanced life, okay. So how do plants pave the way for advanced animals and life?
I begin the chapter by talking about advanced plants. What I mean by these are vascular plants, you know, the plants that have phloem and xylem, if you can remember back to junior high biology class.
Remember
all that kind of stuff?
Yes, going up and down and carrying water and all that kind of stuff.
Well, because of these advanced plants, the Creator is able to recycle nutrients much more efficiently throughout the environment. And also, it's these advanced plants that are prodigious in their production of food. And therefore, these advanced plants really do pave the way for advanced animals, birds and mammals that have high metabolic rates, large body sizes. And these are the creatures that play the most important role in sustaining a human civilization. And therefore, they really do pave the way. And so I describe in the book how they